What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am back again with another video, and as y'all can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that is honestly, again, something that I don't want to be talking about, but is something that I think needs to be said, and a conversation that needs to be had, and that is a conversation about the crater. So basically in this video, I'm going to kind of go over a little bit about the history of the crater, and how the crater fell off, and how I think the crater can come back, because I think that the crater can play a vital role in the game, and I'm honestly rather disappointed that it was abandoned. So if you guys do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe. It's free, you can always change your mind later. Anyway, with all that said, let's get right into the video. So before we talk about how the crater can get back to being good, we need to kind of first understand where the crater started off. So the game Last on Earth was released May 24th of 2017, and it wasn't until April 5th, 2018, there was kind of the first iteration of the game where they had the multiplayer section, and at the time it was being called Sector 7. Basically, it was honestly pretty useless. All it really was kind of a placeholder to say, hey, this game kind of does have multiplayer, and it was really just kind of boring. You'd go, you'd get a power suit, and you could fight off, I think they were like spores or something, and after you'd killed a certain number of spores, you'd get a buff for your single player for like an hour, and honestly, no one really did it because it was completely useless. I mean, yeah, it'd be kind of fun to be able to see your other clan members in the game, but apart from that, it was super useless. And it wasn't until March 4th of 2018 they did the first big introduction of the crater, where they pretty much revamped Sector 7 into like a kind of base camp, in which they introduced 4 new zones, they introduced the new boss to devour, they introduced new armor, they introduced the scout armor, which you needed to kill the devourer. This was like the first real sense of co-op. They also introduced weapons like the MP5K, and at the time, the big reward for the crater here was there was a level system where it would go from level 1 to level 14, and each day you'd get daily tasks that would increase the levels, and level 14 you'd get the newly introduced into the game tactical backpack. It was fine for its time, but it was honestly kind of a free-for-all because there is no real way to like kind of keep order. It was everyone competing for scarce resources, so you'd have people practically sacrificing other people to run and get killed by zombies just for them to open a box so you can swoop in and take all the loot. Like I said, it was fine for the time, but you could tell that it wasn't gonna stay that way based off of how unstable it was. And then in June 12th of 2019, they kind of did another update where they added a bunch more stuff. They added zip guns, rifles, shotguns and shield, that stuff you could craft. They added combat armor, which you'd need for the new boss, the miner. They also added a bunch of materials like iron and wood, basically a lot of single player materials that were now in multiplayer, so multiplayer was evolving. They'd also kind of tried to fix the what I mentioned earlier about players kind of sacrificing others, where they'd have one person go to open the box just to get killed by zombies so you could swoop in and take the loot, by making like different levels of boxes. The easier zones would have like spores surrounding the boxes that you'd have to break, and then also there'd be a timer, so if you were the one to break the box, there'd be like 10 seconds where you were the only one who would be able to get to the box. And then same thing with when you killed zombies, for like 5 seconds you're the only one able to actually loot the zombie. They kind of tried to fix it, but it really didn't do too well. But that didn't last long, because in July of 2019 they added the outpost, which honestly a lot of people forget about because it was only in the game for about a year and it wasn't very popular, and honestly I don't blame them. It was pretty bad. Basically what it was is there'd be like a clan base with boxes that you have to put materials in to fix, and you'd have to put materials in for like a furnace, a woodworking bench, and the problem with that is every 3 days a storm would come and just wipe out everything clean. So basically all you'd get at the end of the 3 days is what you were able to fit in your inventory, and that really turned players off of playing, because what's the point of working if after 3 days 80% of what you do is just going to be gone? That made the game so much more grindy, and it honestly made people just not like it at all. So that's what made this update very unpopular. And then October they tried something else. They do this thing called claims, which I don't know if you guys remember how it was, but basically what would work is you can earn authority points by killing zombies, and if you got enough authority points you'd be able to claim a zone, and if you had the claim on a zone after a week you'd basically be able to get a bunch of really good rewards. Like you could get 20 iron bars, 500 coins, 2 VSSs, and they were honestly crazy rewards. But the problem with that is everyone was competing for 4 or 5 zones. So you could be playing for hours on hours on hours, and you'd still come in second on a claim. And it honestly, again, made people not want to play it, and hence they didn't. Also in this update, they added the HK416, which is something that you could get from the miner. And then February 20th, 2020, everything changed where they introduced the crater. The crater is kind of what we know now. In this update, they just added the foundation, where it was a big empty shop. I mean, they had locations like the Crossroads, which you couldn't go to any other clan's places. They added a task board for you to be able to get some guns. They also added resource zones exclusively for your clan. So instead of competing with others for scarce resources, you were really only competing with your clan, which you could share the loot with. So that was one great fix that they did. And then on July 13th of 2020, in Season 9, that was the business season. That's basically the big update that made the crater the way it is today. They made all the shops functioning. They added the ability to visit other clans and buy stuff from them. They added that whole system. They also added tournaments. They added a ticket system to where every time you kill a zombie, you'd get tickets, which is how you buy items. You use tickets to buy items, and also you have to sell items, and people would use the tickets to buy items of yours. But whenever an item of yours is sold, you get an item called countered foil, which was essential for leveling up your business. And people would obviously want to level up their business, because the way crafting now worked is you'd need certain levels to be able to in the crafting menu, because you started off with like only being able to craft 3 things, and then as you go on, you'll unlock stuff like armor and guns, which is kind of annoying, but I mean, it makes sense. And then they also added locations like the Bauxite Quarry and the Red Forest, and there was a bunch of stuff that basically shaped the crater into the way it is today. And then there was another big update after that, where they added stuff like apartments, where you started off with a small apartment, and then you could use counterfoil to make it bigger. And then there was a furniture store where you could purchase furniture to make your apartment look cool, which was a cool idea of itself, but apart from being able to show off, there was really no use for it. And then the other really big thing they added here was PvP. So basically, there'd be a PvP zone where you'd go and you'd fight other players for the reward of dog tags, which you'd turn into, I think the name was Nat the Fighter, to be able to progress on, again, another like reward system, to where level 15, you get an exclusive skin. So really, all that PvP is just for an exclusive skin. This was a really, really good update, but in my opinion, it was the last good update, because they only had one update after that, and that was pretty much what they called a quality of life update, but it was really the update that ruined the economy and ruined the crater. Basically what they did is they made the price for all the stuff in the shops go up, meaning you'd have to spend more tickets just to get items, meaning people wouldn't be buying stuff, which make it harder to sell, which means you wouldn't get as many counterfoils. And you'd think, oh, maybe tickets would be easier to get. No, because you'd still get the same amount of tickets. And then it also increased the amount of counterfoils you needed in the business. So really, it just ruined the crater's economy in so many different ways. So basically, I can sum down the failure of the crater to 3 big points. 1, the ruined economy. This is something that I think can be easily fixed if you just take some time and think about it. Just call it a quality of life. Make it where not everything is so damn expensive again. The second cause for the downfall, what I've heard, is the team that was in charge of the crater left the crater to go develop Frostborn, because around the time this happened was around the time Frostborn came out. So apparently what happened was the devs left LDOE to go to Frostborn, which in my opinion was a big mistake, because just the potential in the crater is so much higher than the potential of Frostborn. So honestly, in my opinion, bad move, but at the end of the day, it's Kafir's decision. So, and then number 3, multiplayer got too damn sweaty. The only people you see in multiplayer now are either people who are teamed up, so there'd be like 3 people going against one person, so it'd be a 3v1, so obviously you're gonna lose. And then if it was just one person, it was always someone who was using some type of exploit or had the best of the best of the best, to where if they had something slightly better than you, you'd lose. So, with all those reasons, it just made people stop playing the crater, which honestly kind of sucked, because the crater, in my opinion, had so much potential. But there's a few things I think they can do to help bring the crater back. First things first, like I mentioned earlier, fix the economy, make things not so damn expensive, because what they thought was, hey, if you raise the prices, then it'll be more of a grind and people will spend more time playing the game. That's not what happened. Instead of people like, oh, I'll just grind out the game more, they were like, it's not worth my time. Why would I even do this? So just maybe find a balance between what it was to what it is now, to where it can still be somewhat of a grind, but it's not annoying to do. Find that balance there. Number 2, take some of the Frostborn team, take some of the single player team, even if it's just like 5 or 6 people working on multiplayer for some updates. It's not that we need a multiplayer update once every 3 months. We just want a update because the last update we had was like 3 years ago. So just have some people working on it so we at least know, hey, you're not abandoning it. Then number 3, a way to fix PvP is have different like tiers of PvP, kind of like how it is with the tournaments. Have like a bronze, a silver, and a gold. The bronze will have a couple dog tags, the silver will have a little bit more, and then gold will have like the most dog tags, the best loot. And then maybe with the bronze, silver, and gold, they could all be different locations, because again, we've had the same one PvP location for the last 3 years. If you were to add a couple other locations, then it'd feel fresher and people would kind of want to come back and play it. But the big thing that I think can revive the creator is better rewards. Obviously, people aren't going to want to spend all this time just for a skin. Maybe have it where after you get the certain skins, like after level 14 I was talking about, you have a box that can give good rewards for single player. Like you open the box and it's guaranteed a couple of guns. Maybe every time you open the box you'll get a modded Scar or a modded Dragonov or something, some way that if you're mainly a single player, which most people are, you can compete in multiplayer and you still benefit from it in single player. It's not just a skin. Obviously none of it matters if it's falling on deaf ears. The devs just need to start realizing that the most untapped potential in the game right now is the creator, and start focusing on that, because the creator honestly used to be one of my favorite parts of the game, and it's just kind of a kick in the teeth seeing it die and be abandoned the way it is. And that's the video, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe. Also join the Discord, link for that is in the description. If you ever have any questions or comments or concerns, just leave them in the comments. I will do my best to respond to every single one, and if I don't respond to it, odds are I read it and it doesn't need a response. But anyway, y'all, that's all for me. I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of y'all's day. I'm out. Peace.